In the meantime, though, I want to cross the pond, head over to Europe, talk a little Euro qualifiers. This was the third match in the group stage. Some stakes here. As a quick reminder, I'm not going to go through the whole machination, but essentially Group A, which is where the best 16 teams are, if you finish first or second in your group, you make the Euro 16. You make the knockout stage. If you finish third or fourth, you're still in the mix, but then you have to go to that 28-team playoff where you got Group B teams, you've got Group C teams, shit gets messy. Then those 28 teams become 7 teams, and that's how we get our final Euro qualifier 16. Switzerland as the host country, they're already in. So you want to finish top 2 in the group, just so you don't have to, muck it up with the other 28 that are going to be vying for those spots in the Euros as well.
Yep.
I want to quickly run through some results here. This one's tough, buddy, but I just want to get out of the way. Let's just rip the Band-Aid off. England 1, France 2. France now in full control of the group. England, with this result, actually fall to third in the group. So they're in that final 28, but still 3 group stage matches to go, and they'll have a chance to go at Sweden to maybe make up some of that ground. What'd you see in this one?
France is really good, turns out. They have a lot of good players. They have players with incredible skill. You see a wonder strike from De Almeida. You see a genius finish. Marie Antoinette Katoto, PSG showing up in full effect here. I'm going to take a posture where sometimes I can be a little pessimistic about my teams and, I can worry myself a little bit. No Lauren James in this one. And that changes everything about this squad. It changes the way you have to defend them. It changes the amount of people you can get forward against England. So I'm very interested to see LJ's status moving forward. Let's not forget, we're the reigning, defending European title holders. So they're going to be back. I didn't like some of the looks. I think that we could be a little more pacey. I think we could attack a little harder in spots. But again, with no LJ in the lineup, maybe that's harder to do. So I'm going to reserve judgment. I was a little bummed going back and watching it after the workday on Friday. We'll be back, though. We're not scared. And like you said, we get to play Sweden. And, that should be a hell of a football game. We'll make some hay against Ireland, take care of business versus Sweden. I think, we get a draw versus France here. I think we're locked and loaded if that's the case.
Yeah, I think the game looked pretty even. Obviously 2 just moments of absolute quality, from a couple of your favorites. So that had to hurt a little bit. De Almeida and Marie Antoinette Katoto. It's funny. France is sort of like, they might show up like, the kid that was bullied in 7th grade and went through a growth spurt in the summer. And now he's showing up for 8th grade and he's 6'3" and he's doing 80 push-ups a day. Right. France got some of those vibes too. PSG obviously took their lumps against Lyon. Lyon took their lumps against Barcelona. Nations League, Spain versus France. France looked DOA in that one.
Yeah.
I'm going to be interested to see kind of like where France goes from here if they continue to just lock in and just be like, we're going to take every single minute that we're on the pitch the most serious that we possibly can, just because we're tired of this shit. And I think they're good enough to be able to make that happen. Let's scoot ahead though. Ireland 0, Sweden 3. Sweden get a big win, 3 goals, allow them to leapfrog England. As mentioned, some big moments from a couple ITC favorites, Johanna Roots-Kannerud, Fridolina Rolfo. Ireland hung in, but Sweden gave them that work when it was all said and done.
Ireland had multiple chances in the first half that they could have finished. They just could not convert. They had a really nice flurry in the 9th minute. They had another quality chance in the 21st minute. It's hard to get that final touch to make that final finish. And you're right. Roots-Kannerud, put in my notes, this is a JRK game. She was bossing everything. Ireland did not have a lot of answers. Katie McCabe and company were able to kind of hold off for a little while. But once Kannerud gets that first goal, it's like, okay, this is getting dicey. Rolfo gets the second before then later Kannerud gets the brace. But they were kind of holding on for dear life in this one. And then it also doesn't help that Musovic, if you're having a hard time scoring on your own and you're slightly missing some chances, Musovic gives you nothing for free either. So Sweden's tough to beat when they look like that.
Musovic looks like a different player when she puts on the Sweden
She's
kit.
Awesome.
What's going,
man?
And I want to hit Fridolina Rolfo real quick because she's such a great player.
Yeah.
And I feel bad that we kind of took her as a given for Barcelona in the Champions League. I'm just like, all right, she's great. Nothing to see here. But her sequence against Ireland where they got the 2-on-1. I think she's running it with Canarud. She fires it at the goalkeeper. Goalkeeper makes a very professional stop. And Rolfo's like, could have done better there with the 2-on-1. Maybe like 5-10 minutes later, she's got another look. Ball finds her. She collects herself. Takes a look at where am I going? All right, top corner, just across the goalkeeper, little wicked bend on it. Let's do that, make it 2-0. She's an unbelievable player. What a freaking luxury. She's just effective. There's not a blade of grass out there where she can't affect the game. I kind of feel bad we didn't mention her more. She's just an excellent player. What else can you say?
Yeah, I mean, 30 years old, great experience, has the ability to play left back and left wing, as we see like with some of these versatile players like that. You could play her at left midfield if you felt like it. And I think Barcelona did at times. Yeah, I mean, that strike, to get the second goal to really kind of put things away at that point. Absolute quality. And I'm glad you shouted out Ireland's goalkeeper. Courtney Brosnan had a rough go in the WSL this season for Everton. 34 goals allowed in 20 matches played. Everton was kind of fighting to stay up. I feel like Brosnan was not exposed, exposed as not that good of a player. Goalkeeper exposed, where you're kind of looking up at your defense like, can I get a little help here, please? So I thought Brosnan, it's funny to say in a 3-0 loss, I thought Brosnan held on about as much as she could with JRK and Rolfo running at her. So unfortunate for them, but like we said, Sweden, a lot of good players, a lot of professional. We know what kind of performance to put in this moment. And, that's why they make the knockout stage of the World Cup. You pretty much pencil them into that every year.
Absolutely. I want to shift gears. Let's go to Group A1. This group's pretty fun. Netherlands, Norway, Italy, Finland. So we got a fun matchup between Norway and Italy. No goals, though. A little bit of a toughie in that department. They finished 0-0. Norway sitting in second place in the group. Italy sitting in third place, both on 4 points. Norway just a smidge ahead, goal differential. Italy not able to make up any ground with this one as they go 0-0. What'd you see here?
First observation, because we are in the United States of America and I had to watch this through a semi-blurry video on YouTube.
Same.
Of the Italian broadcast. Were you watching the Italian broadcast?
Yeah.
Okay, so I get the feeling we were on the same feed here. So maybe it's because the video was kind of blurry, but the numbers on the back of Norway's jerseys looked wild to me. Like I was having like a hard time determining what they were, but I was like, they look sick. Like the jerseys look cool. But like there was one time where Graham Hansen had the ball and I was like, wait, who is that? And I was like, oh, the second best player in the world. Okay, gotcha. I know who that is. I watch. So that was a little tricky. I think the feed was kind of playing into that.
Real quick, those kits look so fire. Like
they're very cool.
It looks the number treatment on them. It just looked like some XFL shit. Just like some futuristic, post-apocalyptic. Like this is how we're putting our numbers on our jerseys now. I was way, way, way into that look. Yeah,
super cool, and they deserve it for a team with amazing players like that. They should get. Like, we're making a lot of cross American sports references, but like the old school Atlanta Falcons where they had like Michael Vick. And so they're like, here are 12 different jersey combinations. And like all of them are like kind of badass. It's like, I'll buy several of these. Norway could have won this match. They're better than Italy. Credit to Italy. Tough, hard nosed. They play that defensive style. You already know what you're going to get from them. But Tottenham's Celine Bizet, she missed a golden opportunity right before halftime. CGH doing CGH things, blistering run, great move to create space near the top of the 18. Hits an absolute rocket. Great save to credit Laura Giuliani. Unfortunate last name. Not the point of this exercise. Giuliani makes an important save. It's been a long time since anybody said that in America. It falls right to Bizet, and she skies it over the crossbar. I felt like if that one goes in right before halftime, we might be looking at a very different second half. But I think the last thing I took away from this, so I'm curious about your opinion on this. We are obviously two objective journalists who call these things right down the middle, who only report the news.
Always.
But can I just make an appeal to Gemma Granger, Norway manager? Can we get some Braun players on the field, please? I see him on the roster. Like, I see him on the roster. Can we put in at least one?
I mean, can one get on as a sub? Can we just get a little bit of Braun energy into this? Because let me tell you, Guro Reiten, Ingrid Engen, Carolina Graham Hansen. I'm forgetting a bunch of great players. This should be enough to get on the board against Italy at home in Euro qualifying. I don't know, man. I don't know what you lose by injecting some of that brawn energy into this lineup. And I know we've got a lot of friends in Norway who do rock with the show. Please let us know what's wrong with this team, because there's clearly something a little bit amiss.
Yeah, and this is what's making it tricky with us having a hard time kind of following top Syrian a bit. Like, are Jelland and Gaupset, are they like nicked up? Like, do they have like a little nagging injury or something? Like, because why would you not? For sure, Gaupset. Why in the fuck is she not on the field? Is my question.
Yeah.
And you know what Jelland brings to the table too. So why, to your point, why is she not getting 30 minutes?
Mm-hmm.
Maybe there's a piece we're missing. We're not gonna crush Gemma Granger yet. I mean, if you continue to not play Braun players, I think you know what kind of time we're on. So we'll see how that goes. But yeah, just please, to our pals in Norway, let us know what's happening over there.
Oh yeah, that's much appreciated. Let's hit the other matchup in that group. The Netherlands 1, Finland 0. I thought Finland looked pretty live.
Yeah.
They've got some good players. They were all on the same page, which I appreciated. But Netherlands, the more experienced team, the more talented team, they lead Group A1 by a pretty thin margin, but they're still sitting up top. And they get a big win at home, 1-0 over Finland.
Yeah, time for another player who gets the initials treatment. Daniela Van de Donk, VDD. This was her match. She was on one. She was bossing the game.
Mm-hmm.
There was a moment relatively early in the match. I think it was like super early in the match where I want to shout out, even though we were watching it, this feed, not as blurry on YouTube of what I got to watch, not as blurry as the Norway match. We got to make sure we clean that up here for our pals in Norway. But where Van de Donk gets a steal, and it felt like NFL Films old footage of Van de Donk gets the steal and it's in slow motion, and you see her as she's getting the steal, like she knows it's happening. She knows it's on her left foot, and you can just see her slowly. She just looks up, like does that turn, and like
I saw that.
Who's running with me? And I was like, God, that's great camera work, and it just speaks to what a genius she is, how in tune with everybody else she is. They get on the break. It was a near miss on goal, but it was just perfect camera work to show that she is the type of player who her brain just immediately switches. Yep, I got the ball. I'm in control. We're going forward. I'm picking out the perfect pass. How far do I got to carry it? How far does everybody else got to run? It's like you could see the computer working in real time in slow-mo. And it's just what kind of player she is and what kind of talent she has. And I thought this was her match.
She just has like a drive, in these matches. And I think like she's just a little bit undeniable when she wants to just make something happen.
Yep.
One of my favorite players, I think, former Arsenal gunner. Had a great World Cup. Had a really good Champions League as well. Obviously, they couldn't get it done, but she's just love watching her play. Lika Martens was really cool to see her put one on the bar, get really close. And I think like you kind of forget how stacked that Dutch team is. Awesome. You got Esme Brooks out there, Sharita Spitz out there, just kind of directing traffic. Lynette Berenstein. You might have a little something on her. What another IC? I kind of want. I mean, I know she's in Serie A Femenil, but I don't know. Could she play in the NWSL? Could we see her in WSL? Could we see her in a different setup? Where I feel like we're missing out a little bit on the Lynette Berenstein, the full Lynette Berenstein experience. And I guess I'm going to fully raise my hand and say maybe I could do more checking in on Serie A Femenil. But I don't know. She's just one of my favorite players. She's just so explosive, and like it just feels like at any moment, just dynamite's going to come out of her boot.
I'm looking at our document here again to take people behind the curtain. Dino and I, we write out our notes. We talk about our discussion points. I didn't even put it in the doc. I thought the exact same thing. I thought I was going to spring it on you as a take surprise that she should come to the NWSL. Like, no disrespect to Serie A over Italy. I'm sure she loves playing for Juventus. It's a historic club, all that stuff. That's crazy, man. Like the mind melding here is getting a little spooky. There's no way that she's not looking at like Banda and Chewinga and like even like Mel Swanson and just looking at the number 9s, Sophie Smith, looking at those players and be like, yeah, I could impact a club like that. Now, I'm not saying she's as good as Banda, but there's no doubt that Berenstein's looking at those players and not thinking, I could do that. They got some money over there. What'd that meteorite steal look like?
She could definitely. I mean, you put her on like Angel City or North Carolina or Houston or Utah or Seattle.
There we go. Yes.
There we go. Let's go. My bad. That's just my bad. Terrible oversight on my part. We should just send her straight to Seattle.
Come on, Lenneth.
That's if you guys can't lock up Valentina Giacinti. She might be a little tougher to pry away from Italy, but I don't know. I feel like we can make this happen, make this work. Esme Brooks, another one.
Great.
Can we get her somewhere where she can get a little PT?
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe switch sides Real Madrid, or maybe she wants to come over to Arsenal. Maybe she wants to come over. Seattle, still some open spots on the field.
Yeah.
But to circle back to where we started, Netherlands, they sit atop their group. A couple other matches quickly I wanted to hit. Spain, not a whole lot to see here. They go to Denmark, come away with a 2-0 win. Anything catch your eye there?
I mean, yeah, not a big surprise like you pointed out. I would just like to say, for the record, to Denmark, I'm not sure what the scouting report looked like. I'm going to assume the scouting report did not say you can leave Jennifer Hermosa completely unmarked at the back post on a corner kick. Personally, I would try to clean that up. But other than that, I think Hermosa gets that goal on just kind of a howler by the defense on a corner. And then Betuelo draws a super clear foul. Caldente finishes it on the PK. Easy peasy win for Spain. Hard to expect anything less.
Yeah, they look like they're going to cruise they look like they're going to cruise straight to at least the semifinals of the Euros, if we're being honest here. Yeah. Denmark, they're still in a pretty good spot. They're second in Group A2, 6 points. They're 3 points out of Belgium. So they might be looking pretty good with regard to heading straight to that final 16 of the Euros. Yeah. The couple other ones. Germany 4, Poland 1. This one was exciting for a minute.
Yeah.
Poland jumped out ahead. Any big takeaways from this one?
Yeah, that Eva Pajor run in the first 48 seconds of the match, I think, is when she started taking the ball down the right wing. Just an absolute laser into the center of the 18. Our guy, Chris Sharples, on our Champions League final review, mentioned that Pajor is being looked at seriously. All the rumors are pointing of her going to Barcelona. That's exactly what the world needs. I'm sure everybody in Liga F is thrilled about that. But yeah, I mean, jumping out in the first 2 minutes of the match, getting a goal for Poland, it was looking spicy there for a minute.
Mm-hmm. That was interesting. Didn't have much after that though, and Germany then notched the next 4 goals. Some of them in pretty spectacular fashion. It was nice to see Lea Schuler kind of dust herself off. And I think, I think next year, again, shout out to our guy Sharples, who covers the Bundesliga. Mm-hmm. I think Bundesliga's got to be in the mix on it just has to be on the docket in terms of what we're checking in on and who's where, who's going to grab those Champions League spots, because there's a lot of stuff happening over there with Bayern making some big moves, Wolfsburg maybe sliding a little bit.
Yeah. Our pal Mariam Karabi over at She Scores Bangers, if you look back like a couple months at this point, she did some great reporting on the health of Frauen Bundesliga and kind of some of the financial struggles that they're going through. Check that out immediately. I thought they did okay on some counter opportunities later in the first half, but you're right. I mean, Germany started to really ratchet up the pressure. They ended up with 64% of the ball over the course of the match. They had 25 total shots to Poland's 7. They had 13 shots on target to Poland's 3. They had 12 corner kicks to Poland's 1. So it was just tighten the vice. They get the own goal in the 34th minute, which they force off a corner kick.
Yep.
And so, yeah, I mean, disappointing World Cup for Germany. There's some excitement over there, though, that like, hey, we can get this thing turned around, and there's no better way to do it than a strong showing in the Olympics, which I'm very interested to see how they play over there.
100%. And if you're a USWNT fan, we're going to be seeing a little bit of this German team. We share a group heading into the Olympics. But, I mean, this lineup, Julia Gvin, Lena Oberdorf, Shuka Nuskin, Eula Brand, Alex Pop, Lea Schuler, Clara Buhl, Merle Froms in goal. I mean, they're pretty stacked. They're pretty stacked. Yeah. They're going to be tough to deal with. I think USA has got them on the talent side, but that's a team that could hang with pretty much any team in the world, I think, on their best day. So we will definitely keep a close eye on Germany as the Olympics approach. Wanted to give one last shout out to Portugal, who topped Northern Ireland 4-0. Carol Costa scored in the 25th. Lucia Alves, 2 goals. Catarina Amado, she scored a 4th. They're in Group B, so they got knocked down due to some unfortunate Nations League results. So they're kind of in that second tier, but I think they will absolutely be a threat and a force maybe in that 2018 playoff. They've got some work to do to make it to the knockout stage of the Euros, but shout out to them. They're one of the squads that we absolutely rock with. 4-0 over Northern Ireland to, get it done in match day 3 here.
Hell yeah. 3-0 in the group, 9 points out of 9. Got a goal differential of +9. In firm control. Like, one of the tricky things about this kind of format for Euro qualifiers with the different groups and the different leagues and these things is Portugal, no disrespect to Northern Ireland, Bosnia and Herzegovina, and Malta. Portugal's in a different bracket than them. I mean, let's just be fair to Portugal here. So that's a tricky part about only having so many teams in League A and then having to kind of bounce down to League B. But it's going to make the football way more competitive. I'll be interested to see over the next probably 10 years or so if the confederations continue to look at this and be like, hey, man, this is just not fair to teams like Portugal who they might not be able to crack this super elite of the elite, but they belong in that discussion.
Well, this is the fun part of these multi-year Euro qualifier machinations is everything that happens under the Euro umbrella counts.
Yeah.
So it's just we're going to see teams, because we've got some, we've got teams like Ireland, teams like Czechia, Belgium, Finland, teams that are Portugal probably should be favored over those teams, maybe on a neutral field. But it's just the nature of the mechanics of the tournament. You win your Group B group and you get elevated on the next cycle.
Yeah.
And I think we're actually going to also see, well, this is how Portugal ended up in Group B. They finished in a 4th spot in a tough group, I think in the Nations League qualifying, to fall back down. But it's really just going to cycle teams in and out. And I think the cool part about it is it's going to give teams an opportunity. We saw this with Iceland on the men's side, maybe a decade ago, where you put something together, you start to build something for real. And obviously, women's football is a much more wide open space.
Yeah.
You make the investments, you're going to advance. So I think this could be a really cool opportunity for maybe a Group B team, a couple Group B teams, maybe a Group C team to really kind of make a big splash here just by investing and taking advantage of the mechanics of this type of qualification.
That is a really good point. And me as a paid agent for the proletariat, maybe I should not say, hold on, just keep all the big name teams up top. Maybe that was a little bit of my Portugal bias showing. Shout out to our guy Vespa, of course.
Shout out.
But yeah, I think that makes sense. It does create some room for some cool surprises and things like that. I'll just be interested to see, and I know it's part of the game, but if one squad has some bad injuries and they have a rough go in Euro qualifiers, now it's harder for them to get into the World Cup. It's that feels tricky.
I mean, the reality is there's just fucking a lot of good teams in Europe now. You have England not making it, Netherlands not making it to the Olympics.
Yep.
We're going to just continue to see this.
That's true.
We had good teams not make the World Cup, especially on the men's side. It's been happening for a while. Champions that have missed out 1 cycle later, 2 cycles later.
Yep.
So I'm kind of into it. I mean, I think, mix up the pot and, kind of see what comes out the other end. Makes things a little bit more exciting. Anything else you want to hit before we get out of here?
No, I think that's it. I feel like we have adequately spanned the globe in this episode.
Love it. All right, man. I think we did it. This has been another episode of Into the Channel. Thank you for watching, listening, liking, subscribing, chiming in, commenting. I'm going to thank all our Norway friends in advance for commenting and letting us know what exactly is wrong with the national team here. But ultimately, thanks for hanging out with your boys. We really appreciate it. And remember, if you liked, and subscribe or follow Into the Channel, YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, X, Threads, Instagram, TikTok. We've got a lot of shit happening. So go find us in those places. We're going to try to make it as easy as we can to make ourselves findable. But in the meantime, just rock with us, listen to the pod, have a good time, chime in if you've got something to say. But we're available wherever you like to watch or listen. And a big thank you to my co-host as well, straight Sharpie in my personal starting 11, Mr. Grand Angle. I appreciate you, man.
Likewise, buddy. Appreciate the time today. Thank you for always doing you, always being yourself. We always want to make sure that all of our pals out there are doing the same. Thanks for tuning in, and we will catch you guys after the next U.S. women's national team match.